put it on record?
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, definitely put it on record. Yeah, we only make that mistake once, won't we?
Yeah. So
Once, is it?
yeah. So tell me about this app that you've seen for London tube maps.
Yeah, it's just really clever bit of technology where someone's taken. I think they worked in conjunction with Transport for London and put a live tracker of where the trains are on the tracks and overlaid it with a map. And it's not only it's not like the traditional tube map, you know, the one that was done in the 1930s or whatever it was, you know, the big ring and all that.
Yeah.
It's actually a map of London with the tube stations.
So it's sort of overlaid on Google Maps or something.
Something similar to, I don't know if it's Google Maps, but one of the mapping things. And it's overlaid with the train stations. So you've got all the circles for the train stations. And then it's coloured along the line. So the central line is red, the Piccadilly line is blue, the northern line is black. And it has where the trains are. So as the trains are approaching the station, you can see the train approaching the station, which is really clever, but I can't think is particularly useful because the trains are relatively frequent anyway on the
They are.
tube line.
It just makes your heartbeat race and try and catch that.
You're just going to run, aren't you?
You are.
You'll be running for trains all the time and just missing them probably. There should be a little trigger on it as well that says if the train's past this point, you're not going to catch it if you go to the tube station now.
Yeah. I suppose the clever bit, as you have with Google Maps, it has a walking and it says this time to the station.
I don't know if it's...
the clever bit would be to say this time to the platform, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Taken into account stairs.
I think incredibly clever, very impressive, good example of an application of technology that is absolutely not required.
Yes.
Because you've already got the overhead signs that tell you how long it's going to be before the next train comes. You've even got them on buses these days, haven't you?
Yeah.
So although it's very visual and very clever, I'm just not sure it's a problem that needed to be solved.
It's not, but you can see how that application of that technology could be used in other industries where it would be useful. I mean, there's lots of tracking of vehicles, vans and things like that. Wouldn't it be great if your Royal Mail or your DHL, at the moment they say will be with you between 12:35 and 1:35 or something, but you could have a real large map.
You do, don't you? Because I'm not sure about Royal Mail, but certainly some of the Amazon services, as it gets closer to you, it pops up on a little map and says your driver is at the number of stops away, and there's a little point on the map of where he or she is versus where you are. It's not quite as accurate, but then maybe it's like van drivers don't go in direct routes anyway. So,
but there must be, yes, as you say, it's an interesting application of technology, but that must be an example where there will be other things where it would be useful in business. We just can't think of it right now.
Well, fleet management, knowing where your fleet is, I suppose, and knowing what the ETA of a truck or a van is to a depot, so you could have whatever stuff it's coming to pick up or drop, pick up, loaded and ready to go, knowing it's going to be 2 minutes away. I mean, you're just getting more and more efficient, aren't you?
You're right.
It's like it's
just in time transport, isn't it?
It's those 1 degree improvements all the time.
Yeah, going back to the 50s, whatever, the Japanese invented just-in-time manufacturing or whatever. Yeah. Doing just-in-time.
Yeah, and taking it like this nth extreme now, aren't you? In terms of being able to track every. I mean, you can do it with your own possessions, can't you? With AirTags and similar things, find out where things are virtually in real time.
Yeah, I actually read a story of a lady journalist who had tried out all the different tags, the Apple, the Samsung, the Google one, and she was reporting on how well they'd done and how well they hadn't done and whatever. And Apple did have the best reliability, she said, but some of the others had other features that were quite useful. I can't remember the full story, but she had looked at all those and she'd sent husbands off. He knew he had an Apple or a AirTag or something in his bag, and she'd tracked him through the airports and through tunnels and all that sort of thing. So you can. It's only really useful. But two immediate applications spring to mind. If you don't trust your partner, which
I'm not sure that we should be suggesting that.
no, but I mean that.
But Apple AirTags ping, don't they? If it's like not your tag and it's not close to your phone over a period of time, it starts pinging. It starts
does it? I didn't know
it
that.
starts
Yeah.
making a noise. So they're saying this is why you can't easily stick it in your other half's handbag or car or whatever.
Some neighbour you're trying to track or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's an obvious one. But the only real benefit for your personal use is if you do a lot of travelling and you lose your bag.
Yes.
Or
and then you can tell
or like some people that
whatever where it isn't.
forget if a lot of people don't put their keys back in the same place, and therefore it's useful for that, isn't it? But it's pretty limited. Best thing is just put your keys back in the same place every time.
Yeah. But there's lots of stuff like that now. I mean, we were on a ship recently, and they've got, all these wall panels where you press one button and the curtains open and the lights dim, and it's set for morning, evening, and it's all very clever. And my wife said to me, "Well, why can't we have that at home?" And the answer is we probably can have it at home, but the issue normally is in retrofitting it. Like if you were building a new house, I think it's quite easy to build all that sort of technology in. If you want to retrofit it, I'm not sure it's quite that easy.
Yeah, so my experience is more, it's not the signal, it's not the technology to signal between them, because everyone has Wi-Fi. The problem is getting the power to, so, closing curtains requires power to close the curtains. Cameras require power. You can have batteries and things, but the batteries often need recharging. So you're either constantly plugging in your, so we got blinds here that remote control, but they only last so long, and you've got a small battery. Every so long you have to
we've got
recharge.
Them about well, it depends on how often you use them. But ours last quite a while. But to me, I've had a look at it for our house. It's finding something that can do everything you want to do and is integrated in a fashion that allows you to do switching the lights on and closing the curtains as part of the same action.
Yeah, so I mean, big companies have had that, haven't they, with in their conference rooms for ages, but they're really expensive.
Yeah, very
restaurant and things like that, really expensive. But no, so Google, Samsung have those sort of products now that are all integrated.
I've seen things as well that you can buy, off Amazon and stuff. They're not very expensive, like sub $20, £20. You need to know what you're doing with the wiring, but you can actually take off a light switch and wire it in line with the light switch, and it transmits. Obviously, it's powered. Then it transmits a signal. It doesn't matter what state the switch is in; it can still override it and work out how to switch the lights on and off.
Yeah, I was playing around with the external lights, and we've got I was thinking of just having a timer on it. Then I found out you could have like a smart switch, so you could just do it through a Wi-Fi app and turn things on and off, which is, they say, for me, it comes down to power. So wireless is great. You can use Wi-Fi to communicate with things, but there's only two ways of getting power to devices that I'm aware of, which is power over Ethernet, so a network cable, which is low power, isn't it? But most things will work on power over Ethernet, or a 3-pin plug. And as you say, you need to do that when you're building the house or renovating the house.
You have the electricity wired in to the point where, I mean, there are, most of the cameras these days as well got pretty long life on batteries.
Yeah, but that's the cameras. But I'm thinking, like you're saying, the home automation, the blinds,
so that would have to be wired in.
Yeah,
isn't it? It's pointless not having it. I suppose curtains, you have those things that pull curtain tracks. That
you do,
can be.
So you can, yeah, it doesn't have to be. But then my point is, you've got a 3-pin plug, but how close is your 3-pin plug? And have you got cables running?
Never where you
need
them, are they?
They're not.
Never.
So you've got cables running all over. Although people are playing around with transmitting electricity via microwave, aren't they?
Yeah, and there was a light one, wasn't there? Li-Fi was a big thing a few years ago, never really took off. I'm sure technically it's...
I wasn't sure whether that was really high power electricity or whether it's suitable for home. Will you come and you'll find a pool of dead flies that have flown through the flown through the power signal or something. I don't know. I don't know what the power is. I know it can do significant power, but whether it's suitable for a small home for 415 volt or 240 volt even supply, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's why this is interesting is because a lot of these technologies have commercial applications and they're different. You were talking earlier on about that boardrooms that used to have windows that closed and blinds that went up and down. That's been around for a long time, very expensive, versus the domestic application, which tends to be a lot cheaper, but also come later down the line.
Yeah, so if we think about the boardrooms and whatever had that, it wasn't very sophisticated. I think it was only expensive because there wasn't a big market for it. And it was almost a bit, someone has to come up with a cheaper alternative and therefore more people buy it.
As you know, talk about boardroom, I do remember going into a company, which I won't name. They had one of these, what they called the high-tech boardroom. And it was the panel on the CEO's table, did all this stuff. And one of the things it did was it presented a screen, very James Bond-esque, panels opened up and there was a screen behind it. And I went up there one day to help try and fix something. I went into the engine room, and this was this was before flat screen TVs. So they basically had an old CRT, big television, and this projector rigged up. I mean, you couldn't talk about MacGyvering it. It's like string and sellotape solution, and some mirrors. And it basically took a TV with an old video player, and when he pressed the button, the video went down and went in, and the TV moved around, and the mirrors changed, and the doors opened, and it literally pieces of string. And then they got this projector, like reverse angle projector to project up. But it was really clunky technology. It made to look from the outside hugely impressive, but actually behind the scenes, literally shrunk.
I had similar experience working for an oil and gas company, because oil and gas companies used to have lots of money. They still do, really, don't they?
Probably, yeah.
And their boardroom, they had what they call a projector backlit screen. So yeah, it was a big screen, and the projector just projected from the back onto it rather than onto the front. But that was I can't remember we used Crestron or one of the others, but that's what I say. It's not sophisticated. It's just, you say panels opening. That's just an electric motor on some runners, or the relay on or off type thing, isn't it? And powering on a projector is just a flick of the switch. They're all low tech type.
But it used to be more of an engineering conundrum, didn't it? Anything else?